Hey, it's Dr. Amanda with Straightsmile Solutions, straightsmilesolutions.com. Let's talk a little bit more about orthodontics and epigenetics, specifically epigenetic or functional orthodontics, how that's different from traditional orthodontics. A lot of people put that in their website and say that's how they do things. Yeah, they're not. All they're trying to do is make the teeth fit together. Why? Because that's how they were trained. That's how they still teach you for the most part in orthodontic residency. There might be a few that are finally considering airway and other stuff. But because the science, the literature, it hasn't been written yet, the studies haven't fully been done yet, they're all based on the literature. So I've been really focusing on this the last few weeks. And I want you guys to understand because I get humans, people, parents, random people at church, people ask me all the time, well, why aren't they telling us this? Why aren't they telling us that what we do with our kids, how we feed our kids, everything we do with our kids, what instruments they play, what sports they play can affect their faces? Of course it does. Everything that touches your face, that you put in your mouth, that you do can affect your face. You know, how your habits, the airway, your nose, it all affects the growth of your face. There is, same thing like your height. So for example, I was predisposed genetically to be a range of heights. Just like, in new generations, you see people getting taller and taller and taller because they're getting better nutrition. We have a range of heights. If we're sick, ill, not well taken care of, we're going to be on the lower side of the range than the people that were well fed. I mean, I can give you an example. I mean, one of my youngest sister was adopted from a Russian orphanage a couple decades ago. And I was like 22 when she came over. She was 12. And we did some mission work at that orphanage for a few weeks before. And it was interesting because a lot of kids got adopted after the mission trip because I guess that's what they did. Things are different now. It was very weird. But anyways, it was fascinating because these kids look like little kids. The second they come over to the US and start getting proper food and rest and whatever else, healthcare, they would shoot up. Every single one would shoot up within months. They would shoot up and look like an adult. It's just, it's your environment that you're in. So crazy, right? So keep in mind that a narrow jaw can restrict your nasal passages, collapse the throat. The idea of in airway focused orthodontists is that prioritizing the airway first and the health first really helps a face develop more forward and not down. So it's really important to have your grace go forward so you have better airway and not down. So a forward face is generally healthier than a down face. So we also got the advent of myofunctional therapy, which is physical therapy for your mouth, tongue, and face. It retrains your muscles to maintain proper oral rest posture, keeping your mouth sealed, teeth lightly touching, and your tongue pressed firmly against the roof of your mouth behind the spot. So this can change your face shape. Your bones will respond directly to the constant muscle pressure and the proper muscle pressure and grow the face forward and not down. If your tongue sits on the floor of your mouth and you breathe through your mouth, your face will drop vertically, flattening your cheekbones and pulling your lower jaw backwards. You can see these people everywhere. I call these airway faces, dog faces, whatever. We call them dog faces in residency. You guys know who you are. But I mean, if you got a droopy face, not much we can do about it once you're finished growing. I mean, certainly can get the airway prioritized, but the face isn't going to change without jaw surgery. So gives you a more defined jawline, higher cheekbones by pushing the tongue against the palate. Does that. A wider smile, straighter teeth, improved profile, and expanded airway. So these are really important. And of course, always doing nasal breathing. That is how you can control, in your kids. Of course, making sure that you are exclusively breastfeeding your kid, not introducing any bottles at all, pacifiers, anything like that, and not introducing solids until the later stages if possible, as much as possible. And once you're doing solids, you're not feeding them on a spoon. They are picking up and eating the food. And I have tons of content on this. And they do this in many countries. And there is total proof, that there's, in first world countries where people are spoon fed and everything, that kids have more crowding. I mean, it's a fact, Jack. So it is what it is. It has everything to do with diet and posture. This is the whole orthotropics factor. There is science behind it. I know that there's some orthodontists who make fun of orthotropics, and I'm not saying we got to go all the way to that end, but there's somewhere in the middle where there is literature that proves it. And and people are resisting to even do the research to make the literature because they realize once this comes out, and the new AAO white paper dances around it. But once this comes out as fact, I think there's going to be a lot of lawsuits. I think there is. I think it's going to destroy the orthodontic profession, which is why people are stalling on this. And I'm putting myself at risk just even saying this, but that is just my personal thought because I don't understand why this research is not getting done. I realize that doing proper research and setting up studies is time consuming and expensive. And people don't want to fund studies that's going to sabotage your own plate and take food off your own plate. I mean, that's a fact, Jack. So I saw this starting to happen over a decade ago, which is why I kind of dropped out of clinical orthodontics per se and the way it was being done, because I just, as someone who's neurodivergent and autistic, I saw stuff before other people saw it. And I didn't know what it was, but I knew that the way orthodontics was being practicing was, I didn't feel it was the best way for the patients, because the part that was most important to me was the counseling, the airway, the myofunctional part, trying to get little kids in and looking what they're doing and getting to breathe through their nose. No, we're not doing any treatment on them. I'm not collecting a dime from them for years. You know, you're talking to kids, you're looking at the siblings and you're going, oh no. And mom sees it because mom knows that older kid has an anterior open bite. Older kid has a tongue thrust that we're having to train, and it's hard at 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Every additional year it's even harder. It's much easier at 2, 3, 4. Very easy to fix. Really hard to fix older. And by then their bite is jacked. And by then, if they're still doing all these nasty habits, they're gonna either have a really junky outcome, it's gonna be decent, it's probably not gonna easily stay in the retainer if there's still habits going on or airway issues. It's gonna relapse even with bonded retainers and stacked retainers, which I don't even know if it's a good idea. I mean, I know that there's a lot of content out there, like people starting to say, oh, this is bad to do a bonded retainer because of the cranial base and the spine and the posture and all this. And I don't know, man, these chiros are getting into this. I have some content on chiro stuff. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. I don't love doing bonded retainers long term. That is just something that I've never loved. Some patients love it. It's not something that I would love to use them for settling and always get them off. That is just my personal opinion. So anyways, I'm going down a major rabbit hole here, but yes, it is a fact that the environment can affect the outcome of the face. And, you know, we don't live in a vacuum. So definitely check that out and understand how it works, and understand that you have some sway in how your child looks when they get older. And the number one thing I'd be doing is working on nasal breathing from the second they're born. And of course, breastfeeding, which is hard to do if you are working full time as a doctor. All right, thanks.